I'm sure I've got some. Hopefully, there's some people out there who like Yu Yu Hakusho. Yu Yu Hakusho is by far one of my favorite animes of all time. And I saw this on Facebook, and it reminded me just how awesome the manga was. So we've got elder Toguro, younger Toguro, the nameless demon who, the one who blinded Yomi, who's hired by Kurama to kind of teach him, like, hey, maybe you shouldn't go balls to the wall and be reckless. And then we have Mikuro, who I like. The anime could only have done so much with her story. Like, you look at any one of these, and like Togoro's backstory is hard and tragic and stuff like that, but hers, anyone who's gone through what she went through. So basically, Mikuro was taken in by someone who was supposed to be her father, and instead they her, a child. I don't think I have to say what they did. Not only did they do it, but other people, I believe other people paid to do it as well. So she was, the R word that YouTube doesn't like people saying. She kills him, and rightly so. The fucking bastard deserves it. But just she's one of the coolest characters. Like the Three Kings saga. I don't think the anime did it justice. The Ryzen, Yomi, Mikuro, they're so awesome, and I don't think they got the screen time they needed, just to show how, like Ryzen, all you know is that this dude is so freaking powerful. Yomi and Mikuro have to wait for him to die before they can make a move, because they're like, the guy's dying, and I still don't want to mess with him. That dude would wipe the floor with us. He's dying. I don't even want to test him right now. If he goes into a rage, a hunger-induced. So they basically had to sit around and wait for Ryzen to die before they could start, advancing anything. That's how strong Ryzen was. We learned a little about his backstory, about who he fell in love with, and basically how Yusuke came about, why he's the Mazaku. But the Three Kings, oh God, it's such. They really, it was just not enough. It just wasn't enough. And then you got the nameless demon, and in the anime, you can see he's kind of falling apart. He's got his torso barely connected anymore. His arm is just in the anime. He kind of looks like, I guess the best way to describe it is like Piccolo's arm after Cell absorbs it. How it's all small and shriveled, and that's basically what he looks like in the anime. But here, he's barely attached to himself anymore. But he was the demon that blinded Yomi, because Yomi was like, "Oh yeah, we heard about a castle that held untold treasures," and so, being who I was, I took our best men and I headed in. And all of them died, but I didn't care because I just wanted to get rich. But then they found out that there was no real treasure there, and that they were ambushed by this guy. And he never knew his name. He just knew that someone sent him after. Yomi knows that someone sent him after him. And he kind of had a feeling his whole life where he kind of knew who might have done it. But then he finally kind of admits that, yeah, it was Yoko Kurama. So it was pretty great. And then in the anime, they don't really show it, but they kind of show it. But after he basically tells them who was sent to try to kill Yomi, Yomi's just like foot in the dude's face, crushes it. You see, like I think it's like a shadow of it. It's like Yomi's like, I always kind of knew. I always knew it was you, Kurama. I just wanted to hear it for myself. He's like, don't worry, I don't worry, I don't hold it against you. 'Cause, I was young, I was reckless, I cost, lives of men, and, if, I had been in your position, I would have tried to kill me too. So, and then we got Elder Toguro, and based that he's in the water, I'm guessing this is around, like, the chapter Black with Sensui. Since he's nothing but a head right now, he's trying to regenerate, which, lots of spaghetti. Yeah, he looks really cool in the manga. you'll be like, okay, this art style looks very familiar or very similar to something else, and I think that's kind of like what they were going for. And then Toguro, is, I mean, not really that gruesome looking though. You know, I think that's like his 80% form or something, and then he gets 100, and he's basically looks like Obelisk Tormentor at that point. He's like, his shoulders are massive. He's got for souls, and he's just a complete monster. But yeah, Elder Toguro, thought to be dead after Toguro just destroys him, and during the tournament. Then Sensui finds him and it's like, oh yeah, just help me recover and blah blah blah. And but then they kind of decide that his regeneration is just taking a little too long. So he lets Gourmet inhale him, and take him in. But since Elder Toguro is so much stronger, Gourmet doesn't get the access to his powers. It's kind of like Elder Toguro kind of takes him over. So, and then we in the anime itself, the whole moment with Kurama when he wraps his rose whip around Gourmet's skull, and there's just like one quick movement, just fly, and then you see Elder Toguro kind of rising up from Gourmet's jaw, from his lower. It's so good. It is so good. All the stuff that was good in the anime was kind of better, not better in the manga, but that was one moment in the anime. You're like, oh, just to see it in motion, because again, the manga, you're reading it, so the actions are, but to see Kurama wrap his rose whip around Gourmet's mouth and then just one fell swoop, just slice like right there, the whole top of his head comes off, and then you after a while Kurama's like, I know you're in there, come out, Toguro. And then you hear Toguro laughing, and you can see a little, start to rise up. You can see a little blood spurt out. It's so good. So just to see that in motion, it was so cool. It was so cool. But yeah, these are all great sagas, really. Chapter Black, the Dark Tournament, Three Kings. I mean, even the earlier stuff. Even the earlier stuff, when you compare it to the anime, I mean, freaking Yusuke smoking cigarettes and stuff like that. What's her name? Sayaka, I think. The one in the game, the movie, or not the movie, the anime, where she's kind of the ones who she kind of like comes and kind of like takes notes and investigates about Yusuke and all that. He follows him around like, oh yeah, that's Keiko. And in the manga she was a little different, just a tad bit different. I remember she was a little girl who died, and she wasn't very nice at first. So it's a little different than this little girl who just shows up. You're like, I'm the investigator, I'm here to make sure that people who around here still want you around, and they want you alive. But yeah, she was like a mean kid, and she died. And I mean, I haven't read the manga since probably middle school, so it's been a while. So I'm trying to remember all these details, because I read them once, because we had them. My friend had them, and then I think we had them in the library as well. So that's what I did, besides drawing all the time, was, we whipped them out during class because we didn't care. But, yeah, the freaking, Dark Tournament, probably one of the best arcs of any anime, especially tournaments. There's so many animes that have tournaments. This was like the perfect amount of action, and the fights were good, but they didn't overdo it. Like you have ones at the end, like the Toguro, Team Toguro, where each of them took like maybe an episode and a half to wrap up. But it's not like there was a lack of action. So like Kie versus Bui, you got to see Bui not only in his armored form, But then after he takes all of it off, you see like he's a completely different person, and he's like, you know, balleting and stuff like that, and um, Elder Toguro versus like Kuwabara, and so it the anime Jeff definitely did it right. And with a manga, you can kind of go for really as much as you want because it's a manga. So, but I could talk about Yu Yu Hakusho all day. I really could. I love Yu Yu Hakusho. Um, and Toguro, I'm just looking at Toguro. He really is like one of the coolest villains of all time. He's not even a villain. That people call him a villain. He's not a villain. Same thing with Sensui. He's not a villain. He was a good person who just kind of went about things the wrong way. And we see during the Dark Tournament that Toguro isn't a villain. He's actually really kind. You know, but at least in the I can't remember what it was in the manga, but with the interaction with him and Genkai when after he he gets sent on his way to basically hell. With him and the conversation between him and Genkai. Oh my god, my heart. Oh my heart. It gets me every freaking time that when he takes off his glasses and it's like, oh my god. This guy wasn't a villain. He was just misunderstood. Like he had everything planned. He knew that him and Genkai would fight. He knew that he would kill Genkai, and he knew that Yusuke would do anything to get her back. In the manga, though, Genkai doesn't come back. She stays dead. She stays dead at the end, the very end, with the group getting her state. Yeah, that's given to them in her will. In the anime, though, she invites them all to her compound. Is like, oh yeah, let me just tell you all the things that's gonna, what happens when I die. And so, in the manga, she stays dead, which ultimately I think would have bettered Yusuke's character in the long run, because you have moments like the doctor where it's like, okay, if I don't kill this guy or something, everyone in this hospital is going to die. In the anime, it's like, oh yeah, he kind of kills the doctor, but she kind of brings him back to life. So there's like no repercussions to his choice. But Genkai being permanently dead in the manga, it kind of gives him a reason to not be so reckless, where he has to make these choices, but not second guess himself. That whatever he's doing is for the betterment and the good of the rest of the world. That yeah, you may have to kill a human, but if he didn't kill that one human, millions of humans were gonna die. So, she was kind of there to be his moral compass almost. But yeah, every single one of them, great sagas, great characters, and not just them. I mean, all the characters from Rando to the four Saint Beasts, and even like, well, no, Goki was annoying. He was annoying. I didn't like Goki. He can go fuck himself. The orb of past. But yeah, then it's like I've never seen an anime or a manga where you have so many characters and you remember every single one of their names because just how amazing they are. Even like the teams in the Dark Tournament that were like almost nobodies, they were still memorable to where you remember their names. Like no one's gonna forget Dr. Ichigaki. That dude was an asshole. He was a freaking asshole. So when you have a cast that's that large, and you remember all their names and their fighting styles and their techniques, and that's a sign of a really good show. Really good show and really good characters, because there's so many of them. It's like freaking Pokemon. It really is. There's so many characters in this show. Good characters, bad characters, middle characters, characters that are supposed to be villains and they're not actually villains. People who are supposed to be feared because they're the demon king of hell, or demon king of the demon world, and you know, but they're actually really sensitive. And I mean, I think for Mikuro, all it took was a good hot dicking from Hiei, and she calmed the fuck down. You know, got out her rage, got a good hot dicking from Hiei. It's like now she's just Mikuro, you know, Mikuro again. She's calm, she's cool, she's like, I just want to lay around now. I just want to lay around. Is that cool, guys? Can I just I don't know. I mean, it's almost implied that they have come some kind of relationship, but of course it's also implied, well, not implied, just the fans think of with Hiei and Kurama. But even Kurama makes fun of it, I think in the anime at least, where he's like, uh, what was he saying? I think he says like, I value our friendship, but I can't. I have to tell you that I don't feel that way about you. After I think Hiei gives Kurama Yukina's stone, or one of their stones, and Kurama just kind of jokes around. Is like, I value our friendship, but I'm just not into you like that. He's like, no, it's not for you. I want you to give it back to Yukina and tell her that her brother's dead. But I love Hiei and Kurama. Hiei. But yeah. You guys watch Yu Yu Hakusho? Let me know your favorite chapter in the book or in the manga, and your favorite arc, or at least whatever you want to refer to it as in the anime. Your favorite moment, your favorite character, and why she has one of the most tragic backstories. Again, glad she killed him. The dude who took her in was supposed to act like her father, but instead she was by him and other people. So I hope he got a long, painful death. Don't make it quick. Draw it out as much as possible. And then when he's about to finally beg for mercy, that's when you kill him. Because he deserves nothing less than the utmost, just brutal. I mean, she was abused. Every kind of way, she was abused. And for people who have gone through that, you definitely relate to Mikuro a lot. And some people, unfortunately, can't escape their captors. Some people are remaining shackled, essentially. So. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I know I've talked about Yu Yu Hakusho in the past, but it's just, I saw this picture and I'm like, oh god, that's so good. It just reminds me of why I love it so much. Anyway, that's going to do for me. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.